been a troublemaker, I've been a late night player, I've been broke as a joke, I've been a money maker, I've been a record breaker, taking credit as an educator. I've been known to spit the flows and make a shaky, shaky thing. Popping, lock, and stop and let it hang. Watch us as we drop this hip hop, it's like it stings. We make the whole room drop and everybody sing. We want the funk. We gotta have that funk. We kick it old school. We think we're so cool. We take it back to the past. We gonna act a fool.
Hello. Welcome to Sports Buzz, the Fanatical View. I am your host, Scott D. Lewis, here live in Studio Comcast Cable, Channel 23, downtown Danbury, Connecticut, on this December 13th. A little bit of interesting weather out there today. Flurries all day, no real accumulation until maybe a little bit at the end of the day, sticking. A little slick. Not really icy, but not great out there. Interesting day. I think it's just going to be cloudy this evening, so we shouldn't have to worry about too much, and maybe just cloudy tomorrow. Temperatures maybe finally getting up back into the 40s perhaps for a couple days this weekend. It has been in the 30s and below that overnight, down in the teens quite regularly for seemingly a bunch of weeks here in a row. Very cold autumn this year. There is a big meteor shower going on tonight, which I guess we are not going to get to see with all the cloud cover after a nice stretch of sun for the past week and clear skies. So we were one day away from being able to see that meteor shower, but I don't think we'll get to see it tonight. But anyways, we are here. I am sitting out here on my own once again. Maybe the Met Maniac, Jet Fanatic, Mike McFadden will join me as the show proceeds if weather lets him get here on time. But my right-hand man, Mr. Bob Rowe Jr., is in the director's chair once again, holding it down. We have to officially just say he is the ultimate director, because that's just what it's been. Weeks and weeks and months now of him directing, doing a good job. Spotlight on Tuesday nights at 9, Wednesdays at 12. You can see what Bob has going on his show. Tyler is back in the building running audio for us, so he is here. Good to see him again. He survived that depressing Saints loss to the Cowboys the other week while we were off, but he's back, and the Saints were back with a victory this weekend, back holding down the #1 seed again, so they're, looking good. And there you see the number, 203-792-4101. If you would like to call in and say hello, say happy holidays, say whatever you want, talk about any of the sporting events that have taken place. Anybody out there maybe saw Bob's daughter Jenna in the Nutcracker this weekend over at Danbury High School, which apparently went very well. Jenna had a great time. 4 years running, I believe it is, for her in that production, so good for her, and glad everybody enjoyed that show. So we're happy that that went down, but yeah, 203-792-4101 if you'd like to call. We will take your calls and talk about whatever it is you like. Speaking of the Nutcracker, let's talk about some boxing to start the sporting topic off. How about that fight this weekend with Fury versus Wilder? The big, and I do mean big, heavyweight matchup with Wilder holding the belt after Fury had to let that belt go. Remember, he was the man who ended the Klitschko's reign a couple years ago, but he has had to relinquish the title. He's had some out-of-the-ring difficulties, and I believe, he couldn't fight. So now he is back, and he took Wilder the distance. Most people feel that Fury actually outpointed and possibly won this fight, but it was Wilder with 2 knockdowns, one in the final round as well, the other, I believe, in the 9th round, and those knockdowns led him to a split decision, which goes to the champion. Holder of the belt gets the victory and retains the belt. In that circumstance, most likely we will see a rematch of these two huge, ginormous men. 6'7" and 6'9" are their heights in this. Just massive guys fighting and beating each other up. So Fury is a very interesting character, British fighter. The last British champion before him, of course, was Lennox Lewis, also a big, huge man. And Fury is just, he has a lot of enthusiasm, a lot of pizzazz. He brings a lot to the fight game, could bring some excitement back into the heavyweight division where there has really been none, as the Klitschko brothers held it down after they knocked Lewis out of it. And they held on to it for close to 15 years or more. So maybe we're getting a little bit more excitement in the heavyweight game, which would be good for boxing. It's always good when the heavyweights have somebody that people can look to and want to watch. So we'll keep our eye on that in the boxing world. But it's wild. They're holding on to the belt. We'll see if there's a rematch in place and if these guys will go head-to-head one more time. Also, another championship went down while we were off, and that was in the MLS. And the Atlanta United FC, in their second year in the MLS, come away with the MLS Cup, and they did it beating the Portland Timbers. And it was a great season. And really last year, if you remember, Atlanta was the #1 seed, I believe, last year as well. So they have burst onto the scene. The fan base down in Atlanta, 70,000 plus go to these games. And we're talking regular season games as well, not just these playoff games in the championship, which was played in Atlanta, which is just tremendous for the city of Atlanta, but also for the sport of soccer in the United States. To get those kind of crowds, Atlanta is doing it right, and it's the first championship in the city of Atlanta since the mid-90s, when the Braves knocked off Joe Table, Jose Mesa blowing the save for the Indians in, 95? Or was it 96? When the Braves won that one and only championship, when we thought they would win more with that great team they had in the 90s. But that was the last time the city of Atlanta had a championship, so they were long overdue, and it comes in the world of soccer. So good for them. I will mention Champions League. The group stage did end this week, yesterday as a matter of fact, and mostly all the favorites went through. There was some dicey moments for some of them as they had to work extra hard, and not everybody clinched until this final round of games Tuesday and Wednesday this week. But Barcelona, Real Madrid, Man United, Man City, Juventus, Bayern Munich, PSG, they're all through, plus Tottenham and Liverpool got through. Roma squeaked through with some of their injuries. The team I'm watching, Borussia Dortmund, with the American wonder kid Pulisic leading the way. They had a tremendous, and they're actually leading the Bundesliga ahead of Bayern this year, 7 points clear, I believe, right now. So I'm keeping my eye on Borussia Dortmund as a team to watch this year, and we'll see what they do. But the draw for the round of 16 will be on Monday. We'll see what happens with that, see who gets matched up with who, and we'll find out what that's going to be for the next stage as we go to the knockout rounds of that, which is going to be very exciting, as it usually is. College basketball I want to mention. Of course, I'm avoiding the NFL for a little while, maybe until the Met Mania gets here, Jet fanatic, but also because I don't want to mention what took place down in Miami this weekend, but I'll get to it. College basketball, a couple of tough losses for the UConn men's basketball team. I don't think their coach really cares about competing hard in these games, and that's a good thing. UConn is accustomed to winning and winning big. One of the most storied, organizations, schools in all of college basketball. If they can put their number of championships up against anybody, so they compete for titles. So just playing tough against Florida State and losing, playing tough against Arizona and losing, not good enough. After the last couple of years, though, UConn fans are feeling somewhat more energized and enthusiastic about this team, at least, as they lost Arizona 79-71. Florida State, I believe, 79-71. Arizona 76-72 in recent weekends. I don't know why they played that Arizona game on a Sunday afternoon at 1 o'clock going up against football. That was a little ridiculous. The Florida State game, at least, was on Saturday this weekend. They have Manhattan and Drexel coming up before they are at Villanova on December 22nd. Another good out-of-conference game. Remember, they beat Syracuse early this year, so they do have that one big out-of-conference victory. But we'll see what happens. They got to take care of business against Manhattan and Drexel and see if they can pull off an upset against Villanova, who was upset, I believe, the other night by Penn. So we'll see. Maybe the champions are down this year. But UConn's going to have to fight through just playing hard and get a victory in one of these big games before the AAC competition begins right after that Villanova game. College football, I will mention, the Final Four are set. I don't have that much enthusiasm about it, to tell you the truth. I think it's all just a made-for-TV event. I don't think that the there's a real actual competition going on. I think it's just a, vanity product for all these teams. As the credits roll, the opening credits go, and the show is blowing up right in front of our faces. All right, Bob goes, there it is. Back to the pictures. Alabama is going to take on Oklahoma. Battle of the two Heisman frontrunners. The Oklahoma kid got the Heisman, and he's going to have a decision to make. Is he going to go play baseball, or is he going to play football? Interesting. We'll see how that goes. And then Clemson versus Notre Dame. I think Clemson did play much better down the stretch, but again, we talked about it, and the competition in the ACC, I don't think is that great. So were they really tested? Notre Dame played a much tougher schedule. That should be a good game in the other semifinal. Also, we'll mention that Army, now for the third straight year, has beaten Navy. Again, amazing after so many years of Navy dominating that matchup. But Army does beat Navy again, and they were a top 25 team this year, and they will be going bowling, playing Houston. Maybe next week I'll break out the bowl list and see if there's any interesting bowls besides the BCS tournament. All right, NBA, going to mention that quickly, and then hockey, then football. Lakers versus Rockets tonight, and Clippers versus Spurs. Some interesting things going on out west. Lakers now 17-10. Clippers also 17-10. Both those teams tied in the Pacific for second place. And the Rockets 12-14, last in the Southwest. Very interesting. Spurs 14-14, only one spot ahead of those Rockets in fourth place in the Southwest. Denver is the top team out west at 18-9. Oklahoma City 17-9. And Golden State 19-10. Memphis 16-11. Dallas, who's been playing without Dirk Nowitzki, but they've got the rookie sensation at 15-11. And Portland 15-13. So some interesting teams, but it is pretty bunched up. There'll be a shakeup throughout the West. In the East, how about this? Toronto finished off the Warriors, sweeping them in the season series last night, and they take that. So they now have the best record in all of the NBA at 23-7. They did that last night without Kawhi Leonard. Celtics have now won 7 in a row. Bob can get back to those Celtics pictures. They moved to 19-10, I believe. 17-10, I think. It's a misprint on my part. Kyrie Irving with 38 points last night, including scoring the final 12 of the game in regulation and in overtime, including 2 dagger 3-point shots. Down by 1, he hits a 3 from the left side and puts them up by 2. John Wall comes back with a layup to tie it. He comes down and hits a 31-foot 3-point shot, dead center, pulled straight up, buried it inside 20 seconds. They win it 130-125 last night in overtime. And the Wizards really struggling this year. Celtics coming on strong right now after going 10-10 to start the year as they were trying to find themselves, get their new rotation with these injured players returning. They seem to be getting their mojo back now and getting that good feeling they had at the end of last year back. So hopefully that will continue. Sixers 19-10, Bucks 18-9, Pacers 18-10, Hornets led by Kemba Walker and Jeremy Lamb, who's the second leading scorer on this team, are in first place in the Southern Division, 14-13. Detroit 13-13 really falls off after that. Only 7 teams in the East right now at 500 or better, with everybody else below 500. So teams like the Wizards, who are playing terribly, will have a chance to get back in it. I don't really see much else happening. Atlanta's not playing well. Orlando's iffy. The Cavs, we know, stink. So, I mean, a team like the Wizards really could benefit from the fact that the East is top-heavy with some great teams up top, but falling off as you get past that 7th spot. We'll see how that plays out. NHL, going to hit that real quick, just the standings. The mighty Ning running away from it in the East, and the ex-Rangers on that Tampa Bay Lightning team, 49 points. They're in first in the Metro and in all of hockey, and they beat the Rangers, as a matter of fact, 6-3 the other night. Rangers, as they flip-flop back and forth up and down the standings, are 5th wild card spot right now, which would have them out of the playoffs at 31 points, but they are only 1 point out of the 3rd seed in the Metropolitan Division behind the Islanders at 32. So this is going to be the story of the NHL, especially that Metro Division, as they just flip-flop back and forth, up and down, falling in and out of those top 3 spots, which guarantee you a playoff spot. And then the rest of the teams battle for the next 2 wild cards to get in. Bruins right now, the first wild card at 38 points, 2 out of the 3rd seed in the Atlantic. So that's what's happening there. The Devils have fallen to last place in the East. As I hear the sounds of Mr. Mike Met Maniac Jet Fanatic walking in, we're going to let him get his headset on and get microphoned up before we talk to him. Maybe we'll get a word from him on Robbie Cano. What do you know? Shaking his head already. I'll wait to give him what Bob's prediction is, which I got before the show started. NFL. All right, the Met Maniac Jet Fanatic got here just in time to hear me cry and moan about the miracle in Miami, or as I'd like to call it, the clown show, bro. What was that? Talk about amateur hour. For the first time since the NFL or the NFC AFC merger, way back in 1970.
Can you hit me?
Team won by scoring a touchdown from that distance. 69 yards out? Something like that. It was the longest play from scrimmage with no time remaining ever in the NFL. Why? Because amateurs are the ones who let plays like this happen, not professionals. And what the Patriots did on this play was an absolute joke. And it goes straight to the coaching staff with just a hideous game plan decision, putting Rob Gronkowski in to defend against a Hail Mary that was never going to come. No way in hell that Ryan Tannehill is going to throw the ball 75 yards in the air on a Hail Mary. The only play they had was going to be one of these throw short and then pitch the ball around and run around and try to get in, which means you have to have defensive players on the field with speed who can run and tackle, not big lumbering tight ends as your last line of defense who don't get the angle and let the guy get to the corner of the end zone and score the game-winning touchdown with no time left on the clock. Just a total miscalculation and an absolute joke of a decision by the coaching staff. Bill Belichick is right at the top of that list of people who made a huge mistake. Did you see this? Were you watching? I was actually listening on the radio.
I didn't see it the first time, but
I've seen it plenty since.
On reviews, yes, I have.
And it was just disgraceful. But as the announcers were calling this on the radio, I heard them saying Gronkowski was coming in, and this is not a second guess on my part. I'm thinking, why do they have him going in? They need guys to tackle back there. Mm-hmm. It's gonna be a runaround type of situation. Plus, Gronkowski's been dealing with injuries on and off throughout his career. He's already missed 2 weeks recently. He had his best game of the season this year offensively. Why are you putting him in, even on a Hail Mary? What is the percentage of Hail Marys that convert for teams that put regular defensive players on the field? I don't know why they're obsessed with this notion of having to put him in to defend the Hail Mary, which is something they do regularly also. But this was not going to be a Hail Mary situation. 2 pitches. It wasn't even like a crazy scenario where they had to pitch it like 10 times and all of a sudden the guy's running free. It was only 2 pitches on this play. They rushed 4 players, which means that there's only 7 guys back, one of whom's a tight end. I think Josh Gordon was actually on defense as well, a wide receiver. They got that big block right there, and then all of a sudden this guy's off to the races, and Gronk didn't get the angle, and he sprawls on the ground, diving for the stop, and he can't get there, and they lose it 34-33, and this game has huge ramifications. The Chiefs were losing to the Ravens at the time the Patriots were trying to wrap this game up. If those two results hold, the Patriots were the #1 seed. Now they are 2 games behind the Chiefs, who rallied, tied it, and won in overtime against the Ravens. And they're tied with the Texans for that second spot. They have the tiebreaker, but if they lose, say, at Pittsburgh this weekend and Houston wins out, they're going to be a 3 seed and not even get a bye because of this botchery and just total ridiculousness. I mean, what they did in the first half defensively was hideous, giving up 21 points to Ryan Tannehill, and they scored 28. They should have scored 31. They really should have scored 35. Why they didn't get any points after the second block punt of the first half, where they had 1st and goal from the 2-yard line, and then Brady takes a sack. What is Brady thinking? He thought they had timeouts left. And even if they did, what is he thinking taking a sack there? He's got to throw that ball away so they at least get the field goal. They missed a field goal in this game in the second half. They missed an extra point in this game as well. And then they get the pass interference call to get them down to 1st and goal again inside the 5-yard line with time running out, and they completely play for the safe field goal. They had 3 chances to get this in the end zone to put the game out of reach, but instead they make it a 5-point game, which means a touchdown beats you. You could have just ended this thing by scoring a touchdown there. They miscalculated entirely. Coaching staff, horrible play calling, horrible decisions on personnel, just a total ridiculous loss, and it's not a surprise to think that something crazy would happen in Miami. Brady is only, I think, 6-10 against Miami all time. They always have problems down in Miami. Miami has really moved maybe past Denver as the all-time house of horrors for the Patriots and their fans. You never know what's going to happen when they go to these locations to play. Those are the 2 worst spots for them all the time. So now they got to take on the Steelers this weekend, who are reeling themselves, losing, 3 in a row? Losing at the Raiders this past weekend. Crazy. The Raiders are terrible. And they lose. Big Ben got hurt in that game, but he did come back. They're finally maybe starting to feel the effects of Le'Veon Bell holding out for the entire year. Their backup, John Connor, has been out, so I don't think he's playing this weekend. This is an absolute must-win for the Steelers, but the Patriots are also going to feel it and really want this win as well. It's going to be a good game. I don't know why Patriots and Steelers seem to play every year, and a lot of times we play at Pittsburgh. I mean, we finally don't have to play at Denver this year, but we got to play at Pittsburgh again. So that's going to be a big one right there. The Steelers are only a half a game up on the Ravens. If they had held on to beating the Chiefs, they would have been in first place with their backup quarterback, as Joe Flacco is now officially benched, and they're sticking with the rookie Jackson, who can't really throw that well, but they've got a great running game and playing good defense. Good games this weekend. A lot of games with playoff implications, Mike. You got tonight, Chargers 10-3 at Chiefs 11-2. If the Chargers win that game, and the Chiefs now dealing with a couple injuries of their own, plus the suspension of their lead running back, Kareem Hunt, out, another domestic violence. You can't really call it domestic violence because he didn't know the girl, so it's just assault, basically, on a female. Another bad situation for the NFL, bad handling by the NFL and by the Chiefs, and by the player who lied to the team and the NFL. And then the NFL doesn't do a full investigation, of course, because they don't really want to know what's going on. But so the Chargers now, if they could win this game, that's a huge victory for them. They would pull into a tie with the Chiefs, and that would split the season series, and they'd have to go to other tiebreakers to see who would be number 1 seed there. So the Chargers could all of a sudden be the number 1 seed if they can win this game. Saturday, and the Patriot fans will be watching this game, Mike. How about your Jets? They get a little revenge. Your guy Sam Darnold came back against the Bills. What'd you think there?
I thought he played well. That scrambling play where he threw the touchdown to Robbie Anderson. That was a tremendous
nice shot of it
play.
right there.
So it was good to see him do that because he needed to make a play to show that he is progressing.
It's a good matchup between these two rookie quarterbacks, and it's good for the Jets to get some good feeling back. They really had struggled in recent weeks, and things were getting ugly, to say the least. So nice win by them, and they get to be at home against a playoff team, the Texans, who finally had their 9-game winning streak lose to the Colts this past weekend. So Texans come in at 9-4, Jets 4-9. Also Saturday, Browns and Broncos trying to stay alive. Broncos, everybody thought, had the inside track after their upsets of the Chargers and the Steelers, but they stumbled on the road. But they get to go back home and take on the Browns at 5-7-1, Broncos 6-7. Bucks at Ravens. Ravens holding on at 7-6 to that wild card spot. Packers, amazingly, still alive despite firing their coach and being a train wreck of themselves at 5-7-1. Mathematically still alive at the Bears, who are holding on to the top spot in that division at 9-4. Cowboys on a roll right now. That Amari Cooper trade looking pretty good for them, but I like to see them on the road at Indy. I think maybe they're feeling too good about themselves. They did explode for some points late in this game. The officiating, Mike, I haven't got on the refs much this year. You know, it's not just the refs, but it's also the rule changes. You know, there was a lot of controversy in recent years. I didn't personally think there was much controversy because I felt like you have to hold on to the ball for it to be a catch, and everybody wanted these guys to be getting credited for a catch when they weren't holding on to the ball. Go back and look at old footage. If you don't hold on to the ball, it's not a catch. You know, if you go through the ground and all this stuff. Now, you don't have to hold on to the ball. They're giving players catches for dropping footballs. It's a total joke. And then the refs compound it. That offensive penalty against the pass interference against the Eagles on that would have been an 80-yard touchdown. Hideous. They're completely affecting the outcome of these games. So anyways, the refs always a problem, and the rules even worse. Cowboys 8-5 at Colts 7-6. Dolphins now still alive 7-6 at Vikings, who continue to lose, but somehow are the 6th seed in the NFC at 6-1. I can't believe, looking at the standings today, they're still in the playoffs. They look terrible. Titans 7-6 at Giants. G-Men now winning 4 out of the last. Have we seen this script before, Mike? They lose like what? Their first 5. They lose like 7 out of the first 8.
Wouldn't it be something if they made
Now everybody's saying, you know, maybe we'll be okay with Eli back next year. I'm hearing Giants fans actually say that, Mike.
Got it.
I mean, are they really saying that? Give me a break. Seahawks now holding on to that wild card spot, 8-5 at 49ers. 49ers have won a couple games. Eagles at Rams on Sunday night. That's a huge one. Eagles, the Super Bowl defending champs, looking to try and stay alive. We didn't get to Cano. We're going to have to talk about that next week, and the winter meetings will wrap up. Bob doesn't have a good prediction. In a word, do you have a good prediction, yes or no?
Just say that again, Scott?
Do you have a good prediction about Cano, yes or no?
I'm going to say no.
No, I don't either. He's an old guy, huge contract. How many years left on that?
Wow, let me see.
We're probably out of time.
Yeah, how many years does he have left on?
All right, I hear music running. We're out. Take care. We'll see you next week.